Hey guys, it's Mitch from Bottom Line View here, and I'm here to do my second annual Top 100 Players of the NFL. Top 100 Players of the current season, that would be 2015. So the criteria, if you guys watched my 2014 version, it means that the criteria is the same as NFL Network's. I try to model my list off of the way that NFL Network does their list, and that's the inspiration for the list because NFL.com/NFL Network they are delivering their list starting Wednesday. So I thought, hey, let's get my list out there a day before NFL Network. NFL Network does a weekly thing where they release 10 players at a time, and then they have a 2-show series for the top 10 to 5 players and 5 to the first player on the list. So mine is basically just a straight countdown through the whole top 100 list. I'm not going to be doing a series because I think it's easier to access one video for you guys to watch. And if you want, just watch it over time because it's going to be pretty long. Because I want to try and go in depth on the players and why they made the list and such. So I took a lot of time delivering and making this list, creating this list for you guys. I think I wrote down about at least 200 to 300 football players that I thought could maybe make the top 100. I then brought it down to a top 100 that is most accurate for myself. And I tried to split it up for every positional category. So I think the position with the most players, I believe, is wide receiver. The players, there are no kickers or punters on the list because it's very hard to distinguish who is a greater kicker than the other, and there are so many good kickers and punters in the league that it's hard to really put more than one when there's so many other positional players in the NFL. So I couldn't put kickers and punters on the list, and NFL Network has never put a kicker or a punter on the list, so I thought that was fair. Every other position though is spread out. The offensive line has a lot of representatives, defensive line, linebackers, DBs, wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. There are actually not as many quarterbacks, nearly as many quarterbacks as I had last year, because I really feel like there aren't that many elite quarterbacks in the NFL that deserve to be in the top 100 when it comes to the top 100 best players, greatest players in the game today. So, what else have I yet to mention? It's based off last year's success. So, did the player win MVP? Did the player how many yards they get? How big of an impact did they have on their team? How many touchdowns did they score? How many interceptions did they have? How many sacks did they have? So many different things. How did they impact the game? How did their team do as a team success? So there's a lot of things. And then also it impacts how I think they're going to do next year. So it's mostly to do with how they did last year, but a little bit and differentiating the different players from each other if they're too close to call is how will they look in the future going forward. So that is the criteria for this list, and that is what I put the time into representing. So I hope you guys enjoy this list of the top 100 players of 2015 in the NFL, the National Football League. At number 100, we have the first wide receiver to enter the list, Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin is a wide receiver from the Carolina Panthers, rookie last season, so obviously he has a bright future making the list in his first NFL season. He had a huge impact on the Panthers this year. Really, they're by far their number one offensive receiver for sure, but their number one target in the pass game for Cam Newton. He had a lot of big impact games, and he's a big man, 6'5". You know, he can go up, catch the ball. Cam Newton is known for throwing the ball high, and Calvin Benjamin is the perfect receiver for that because he goes up, catches the ball at the point, and he can come down with it in the end zone over top 2 defenders, 3 defenders, multiple defenders. He doesn't drop many passes. Rookies will struggle in that regard sometimes. He didn't that often. He did have his drops, but not that often. Um, and he's played well against top competition in the NFL so far in his career. So Calvin Benjamin, moving forward, is going to be the wide receiver, the number one wide receiver for the Panthers in the future, and he's going to have a great career. I hope he stays healthy, and we'll see how he does this upcoming season. But he is number 100 on my top 100. So number 100 on the top 100. That's pretty good. Number 99, I have running back from the Washington Redskins, Alfred Morris. Alfred Morris didn't have his best year. If he had his best year, he'd probably be a lot higher, but that also had to do with team success and the offensive line. Washington Redskins offensive line, as many of you know, if you're a Redskins fan or if you've watched them play, the Redskins quite possibly had the worst offensive line in the NFL last year, and Alfred Morris really did the best he could, and he had a pretty successful year. If you had him in fantasy, you were pretty pleased with him. He wasn't a top tier fantasy producer, but he was a good overall running back. He's a good talent. He can run between the tackles, outside the tackles. He's strong. He's not the fastest running back, but he can also catch the ball. He's versatile in that way, and he's the star, right? He's been the star of Washington's offense because RG3 and their quarterback situation has not been up to par. They have other great receivers there, which might make the list, might not. But Alfred Morris has definitely been a solid contributor for the Redskins, even with how they've been performing as a team. So Alfred Morris is number 99. At number 98, I have a tight end, Jason Witten. Jason Witten, the first tight end to make the list. He sort of dropped off this year, not in statistics because Tony Romo didn't pass the ball as much as he usually does, which kind of taken away from Jason Witten's statistics. He didn't catch that many touchdowns this year, but Jason Witten has been a clutch performer throughout his entire career. On third downs, the guy seems to always be open. He is Tony Romo's security blanket. Great, phenomenal blocker for a tight end. He's probably the best blocker in the league in terms of combination between blocking and catching. Jason Witten is phenomenal. He doesn't have the speed. He never really had top tier speed, but he doesn't have the speed he once had. But he still has savvy route running. He's able to get open, great hands, never drops a pass. Always there in clutch situations. So Jason Witten still has to be regarded as one of the top tight ends in the NFL. He's at number 98 on my list. At number 97, I have Sebastian Vollmer. If you guys don't know, he is an offensive lineman. So if you're a casual NFL fan, you probably won't know many offensive linemen. But Sebastian Vollmer is the right tackle who plays for my New England Patriots. He is probably, in my opinion, the best right tackle in the NFL. He really does a great job in pass protection. He's solid in run blocking, but he's a great pass blocker. And he was a key cog to the Patriots' success in the playoffs. You need to be able to protect the passer. You need to be able to protect Tom Brady if you're the Patriots. And Sebastian Vollmer was the best offensive lineman for the Patriots this year. And going forward, he's going to be the key to that offensive line in pass protection. He sees a lot of top tier defensive ends, and he never really seems to get beat very often. He almost never, really rarely gets beat. So Sebastian Vollmer is the best right tackle on this list, actually. He's the only right tackle to make the list. The NFL is sorely lacking for right tackles. Not in the department of left tackles, though. Left tackles, there are quite a few on this list. But Sebastian Vollmer is the highest rated right tackle at number 97 on the top 100. Number 96, I have a defensive end for the New York Jets, Muhammad Wilkerson. The Jets primarily play a 3-4 front, and Wilkerson plays on one of the DNs. I'm pretty sure he's the right end. He plays for the Jets. Big man. He's mostly a great run stopper, which the Jets last year had phenomenal run stopping ability. He's not the greatest pass rusher, although he is good at getting after the quarterback. He's not the greatest because in a 3-4 front for a defensive end, it's a lot harder to get after the quarterback because you're just not in a good alignment. You're mostly facing like guards and like double teams sometimes, so it's hard for a defensive end to get after the quarterback, but he can still do it. He's a great run stopper. He's a great leader on the team, and he's a great talent. As a Patriots fan, watching him twice a year at least, I watch a lot of Jets games just because they're in the division. Wilkerson is a phenomenal player. And I'm interested to see if the Jets pay him coming up because they did take the Rook in the first round. So we'll see if Wilkerson does get paid next year. He's going to want a lot of money because he deserves it. He's a great talent on the defensive line, and the Jets have one of the best defensive lines in the league. Number 95, I have another rookie wide receiver. As of last year, this year obviously it's his second year. Mike Evans for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dude is a stud. If you're playing fantasy, you probably want to get Mike Evans because dude is a beast. He had I don't know how many 200-yard games, but it was a couple at least, and that's pretty damn good for a rookie wide receiver with no quarterback. Because let's see what he does with Jameis Winston. You know, Mike Evans is a big target. He's a big wide receiver. He might be the biggest wide receiver in the league. He's not the fastest, but like Kelvin Benjamin, they're very similar wide receivers in the way that they can jump, get the ball out of the air over 2-3 defenders, and come down with it and make big plays down the field. So Mike Evans is a playmaker down the field that deserves to be on the top 100. We'll see if he can improve his spot because he is a beast physically, and let's see if he improves his statistics and his play into next season. Number 94 is the only fullback on the list, and that is of your Kansas City Chiefs, Anthony Sherman. The best fullback in the league, in my opinion. He is a great blocker. As a primary fullback, you need to be a great blocker to lead for the running back in a lot of different running situations and a lot of different runs. He's a smart player, and he's able to catch the ball in the backfield, as we saw a lot of times. They were even throwing him fullback screens at some points. So Anthony Sherman is a versatile player. He's able to block, catch. He can run with the ball as well, and he has power while he's running. Great player, very underrated. You might have not seen a fullback making this list, but I definitely think Anthony Sherman deserves to make the top 100. So, let's get to number 93. Travis Frederick, the center of the Dallas Cowboys. Last year, I remember, I believe he was taken in the first round, or not last year, but the year before that, I guess you would say, because the draft already happened. So Travis Frederick was a first-round pick 2 years ago, and man, has he been solid since that point. He got in the league, he broke in, very solid run blocker. He is a smart player because a center is really important for the pass protections. A lot of NFL teams rely on the center for looking at different pass protections as well as the quarterback. The center and the quarterback have a good relationship in terms of looking at pass protections and pass rushes coming towards them and blitzes in scenarios. And Frederick is very smart in that regard. Cowboys offensive line as a team really was awesome this year and the best offensive line in the league. Frederick was a huge part of that. He's able to get push in the run game and the pass game. You never really saw anybody in Dallas getting a free run up the middle. and that really has to do with Frederick. So Travis Frederick is number 93 on my top 100. At number 92, I have a linebacker, another Panther. Second Panther on this list is Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis is an outside linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. Not really known for pass rushing because he plays in a 4-3. Really, 4-3 outside linebackers aren't asked so much to rush the passer. He has great speed, great agility, awareness. He's able to run from sideline to sideline, tackle. He's smart. He's good in coverage. And just to mention, I got to mention that he's a great guy off the field. Obviously, he won the Walter Payton Award, so he definitely deserves to be on this list. He's overlooked a lot of times, and he's been great for a lot of years now. So Thomas Davis deserves to be on this top 100. Great linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. Number 91, I have a corner, and I believe, first corner on the list. Played for the Arizona Cardinals last year, and he's going to play for the New York Jets this year, Antonio Cromartie. Antonio Cromartie had I thought, a very good year last year. He fell off a little bit when he was on the Jets the year before that, and people question if we'll ever see the great Antonio Cromartie again. We saw a very good Antonio Cromartie, especially beside Patrick Peterson. They played a ton of man coverage, man press, and Cromartie a lot of times was playing better than Patrick Peterson. And he was assigned to the better wide receiver a lot of times because of it. And Cromartie has great ball skills, as we know from his early days in San Diego, but now he proved to be a phenomenal man cover corner, and he definitely deserves to be on this list. The only thing with Cromartie is he still hasn't really been able to complete the task of becoming a good tackler, but we'll see next year on the Jets with Revis if he'll be able to do what he did last year again, because he is getting a bit older, so it is a question of how long can he keep it up. Number 90, I have Justin Forsett, running back, played for Baltimore Ravens, playing for them again this year. He resigned in the offseason. He was a huge surprise. I know the first couple of games that he started and he played a lot and he had those breakout games, I was like, oh man, Justin Forsett, he isn't going to continue this success that he's having, because I've seen him play before. He played for the Seahawks, he played for the Texans, I believe, so never really saw that potential in him until he got in that scheme. I'm interested to see if they continue it, because I know they changed their offensive coordinators. So we'll see. Because Gary Kubiak is now in Denver. He's not. I don't know if they're running the same zone style scheme in Baltimore. They probably are, because Joe Flacco has had a lot of success with it. And they really like it there in Baltimore. So I wouldn't be surprised if they continue it and Forsett continues his success, because behind that big offensive line, he is able to he's fast, he's quick, he's small, so he's able to hide behind those offensive linemen, make some moves, and break runs. So Justin Forsett definitely deserves to be on this top 100. We'll see if he can continue into next year and have another good season. Number 89, I have Tajon Gibson. Now, this may be a player that many people don't know. Tajon Gibson is a free safety for the Cleveland Browns, and he was pretty close to leading the league in interceptions last year. I believe he missed a few games with injury, which kept him from getting that that statistic of leading the league in the NFL in interceptions. But I've seen this guy play. He is aware. He is great at running from sideline to sideline, able to pick passes off one thing. He's able to read the play. He's able to read the eyes of the quarterback. He isn't the greatest in box safety at tackling and stuff, but he's great in coverage, and he has great length for a safety, able to, he's a great free safety in the way of range, where he can go from sideline to sideline, like I said, and great ball skills. We'll see if he can get the league lead in interceptions this year. He played on a good defense last year. They took a little bit of a hit on that side of the ball, but we'll see if he can continue it because he did get hurt. So we'll see if he can play up to his potential. Number 89, we have Haloti Ngata. Haloti Ngata is now traded to the Detroit Lions, and he's going to replace what Detroit Lions fans want him to replace, Ndamukong Suh, who left for the Miami Dolphins. And Ngata has been a solid key player for the Ravens for years now. A phenomenal run stuffer, good in pass rush, but has kind of lost it because he has been getting older. But he is one of the best in the league at stuffing the run. He is versatile. He's able to play 3-4 defensive end or 4-3 defensive tackle. He could probably even play 3-4 or nose tackle if you wanted. Guy is a beast, and not much really to say. You probably know who he is. He does what he does, stuffs the run, plays a tough, hard-nosed style of football. And that's what Haloti Ngata does. Deserves to be on this list at number 88. Number 87, I have, is it the second tight end on the list? Martellus Bennett for the Chicago Bears. There were actually rumors that he might be traded, which was interesting because Bennett was one of the best players on the team last year. If you ever watched Chicago, he kind of fell off a little bit at points in the season, but that also had to do with poor quarterback play. Bennett had some games last year where it's like, damn, that guy is a beast. Like, he's 6'6", can run, can catch, can run routes. He's a huge threat in the passing game. And it's hard to cover him. He's a guy that is a tough cover because of his size, his route running, and his speed. So Martellus Bennett is going to continue to improve and get better, I think. And his best days are still ahead of him. So Martellus Bennett is number 87. Number 86 is Ryan Kerrigan from the Washington Redskins. Outside linebacker, plays primarily a 3-4. He's definitely the best defensive player on the Washington Redskins. If you watched them last year, man, he was the only reason Washington did not he was a huge reason for why they were sacking the quarterback, 1, stopping the run, 2, and he's a leader on the defense. He's the best player by far, like I said. Strong, can get after the quarterback, can shed blocks and tackle. Great, smart player. He's going to continue to get better. He's still young. Kerrigan is a great player for the Redskins. I love to watch him play. We'll see how he does next year. Ryan Kerrigan is number 86. Number 85, another Chicago Bear, Alshon Jeffrey, wide receiver. Another tall wide receiver who can go down the field, spread the field, and catch the ball over multiple defenders. This seems to be a theme on my list, early at least. But Alshon Jeffrey really didn't have the best year last year. He broke out, was it last year or the year before? But Jeffrey, he has a lot of talent, and he's basically he's going to be the new Brandon Marshall go-to guy in Chicago, as he really took over that role last year when Brandon Marshall was hurt, and he proved that he could do it. He could pretty much do everything that a receiver's asked to do. He's also a good blocker in the run game as a receiver. He's not the greatest route runner, but where he makes up for it is going down the field and catching over multiple defenders, as I said. So Alshon Jeffrey, number 85. Number 84, I have Jeremy Hill. Jeremy Hill was a rookie last year, and he had a great season for the Bengals. He's going to be the franchise running back for the Bengals going forward. Still not sure what they're doing at quarterback because Dalton has not been the best for them. But Hill, solid running back. Faster than you would expect. When I first watched him, I didn't think he was that quick. And then you'll see him break away in a long run. Definitely proved his speed. He proved that he can play at this level from his rookie season. Obviously, as a rookie, you're going to improve more. And he's strong. He can catch the ball. He's another versatile running back that I really like to see in running backs these days. He's a 3-down running back. That's what you need. Number 84 is Jeremy Hill. Number 83 is another Cowboys offensive lineman. That's Zach Martin. He was a rookie as well last year. A lot of rookies on this list already. 83, Zach Martin. Phenomenal run blocker. They got him on their offensive line. He is great at pulling and blocking. He's great. He's fast for an offensive lineman. He's strong. He makes great impact blocks. He's a good offensive lineman, a good guard. He's going to be one of the best in the league going forward into the future. Cowboys got a huge steal with Zach Martin last year. We'll see what happens going forward. If they can have the same success with that offensive line as they did last year with DeMarco Murray and plug in a worse running back into the fold and have success, then that'd be really a testament to how good Zach Martin is as a run blocker and a pass blocker as well. Number 82, I have is this the second safety? Harrison Smith plays, I believe he plays free safety, but he can also play strong safety for the Vikings. He's actually a white guy, which is surprising. He's tall though. He's about 6'3". He's a good tackler in the box. He's also good at coverage. He was the Vikings probably their best defensive player last year. He's a leader back there in the secondary. Their best secondary player for sure. One of the better all-around safeties in the league. Definitely deserves to be on this list. I believe he's the only Viking to make this list. So, yeah, number 82 is Harrison Smith. Number 81 is Mike Iupati. Mike Iupati played for the 49ers last year, was big for the success of Frank Gore throughout his career, and will be for the new guy coming in for the 49ers running back job. So Gore is gone. He's gone to the Colts. They're going to be asked to step up to block. So Mike Iupati has left for the Cardinals, actually. So 49ers are going to be without Iupati. Let's see if he can improve the Cardinals' run blocking, because he's a great run blocker, as we've seen his years in San Fran. And the Cardinals desperately need good run blocking because really they don't have great running backs. They need a good run blocker, a good pass blocker, because every time Carson Palmer gets hit, seems like he's hurt. But Mikey Iupati is definitely a solid guard, one of the better ones in the league. Number 80, I have Jeremy Maclin, a Philadelphia Eagle turned Kansas City Chief. He's playing with his boy Andy Reid again. Andy Reid is the coach. He doesn't actually play with him, but he's playing with his boy Andy Reid. And Maclin had a huge season last year. He really impressed me in terms of his versatility as a receiver. He was able to go across the middle, catch passes in a system that is a lot different from a lot of NFL systems. He's proven that he can play in both systems, Chip Kelly's and Andy Reid's, both primarily passing systems. Maclin can stretch the field, go down the field, catch the ball. He has great speed. He has good height, not really tall, but he has good height, great speed, as I mentioned, good route runner, and really it seemed like a lot of guys had trouble covering this man. So Jeremy Maclin is at number 80. Number 79 is Jason Pierre-Paul, who at first I didn't believe was going to make this list. But then I dove into his statistics from last year. He had a great season in terms of statistics. His stats were, because the Giants really did not play well as a team, so he was one of those guys that I was like, oh, Pierre-Paul probably had another down year, because last year he didn't have a great year. This year he had, I believe, 12 sacks, which is pretty good. And then he had one of the most tackles for loss and tackles in the league for defensive linemen. So he's obviously a huge part of their defense in terms of statistics and playing ability. I think he was probably their best player on defense last year. And he's great at getting after the passer. He showed great promise early in his career. He obviously showed it last year. And he's very quick, fast, athletic. and that's Jason Pierre-Paul for you at 79. Number 78 is one of the better centers in the league, Alex Mack. He made the list last year too. Cleveland Brown, he got hurt last year, but he played most of the year, so he was able to get on this list. If you guys don't know, if a guy was hurt for the entire year, suspended, or didn't play very much, or he only played like 4 games, 8 games, or whatever, then he wasn't allowed to make this list, or didn't really fit the criteria well. So Alex Mack still makes the list as one of the better centers in the league, and he's good at pass and run blocking, solid player, and he earns the money that they give him. Number 77, I have Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb, man, I'm a huge fan of Randall Cobb. He's a great route runner. He's quick. The dude is versatile. He can play running back even. Sometimes in specific game plans, I saw him against Seattle play like that. I saw him against New England, especially play in the backfield. He can play slot or outside receiver. Cobb is a great route runner, deserves the money that Green Bay gave him. Great receiver. I love him. I've loved him since he came out of the draft. And he's a tough guy and a great athlete. Number 77 is Randall Cobb. Number 76 is Michael Bennett of the Seattle Seahawks. He's a versatile defensive lineman, if there was one, He plays D tackle. He can also play D end. Well, he played D end, and he can also play D tackle, sorry. In passing rushing situations, he can play at the D end or the D tackle. He's able to beat guards with his speed, and he's able to beat tackles with his power. He's versatile, and you definitely saw that in the Super Bowl. So Michael Bennett, huge part of the Seattle Seahawks defense, and doesn't get enough credit for it. Number 75 is Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson didn't have the greatest year last year, but at points he flashed great promise and ability that he has had in years past, and has shown to be one of the better shutdown corners in the league. But he had too many bad games for me to really put him up there as a top corner. He has great ability. He's phenomenal at kick returning, punt returning, and also playing corner. So he's a good athlete, great in coverage. He played a lot of man coverage this year. I don't know why. He just struggled a little bit at points. I'm not sure what it is, but he's a good athlete, tall. He has all the measurables. He can catch the ball when it's up in the air. He can go up and get it like a receiver. So Patrick Peterson can definitely prove next year that he's one of the better corners again. But he still is a better corner in this league at number 75. Number 74, we have Golden Tate, a wide receiver from the Detroit Lions. Man, Golden Tate really surprised me. I thought he was going to be good on the Lions. I thought he was going to have a breakout year, as I said in my fantasy predictions. But this year, man, for Golden Tate was really great because he filled in for Calvin Johnson and played great. He is a small, quick wide receiver, similar to a Randall Cobb. They're different in ways. Golden Tate had a better statistical year, which is why he's rated higher. But Golden Tate filled in as a number 1 receiver and played excellent. He was able to go down the field, catch deep balls, but also come across the middle, catch passes, make moves on guys, beat them. And Golden Tate definitely deserves to be at number 74. Number 73, have another defensive end from the New York Jets, Sheldon Richardson. Rookie last year, definitely proved that it was no rookie fluke. Played excellent this year as well in the run game, Sheldon Richardson, and in the pass game. He was probably the best player of the draft last year, and he continued to prove why. He is a beast. That's all that I gotta say. Number 72, Brent Grimes, corner, Miami Dolphins. One of the better corners in the league. Unexpectedly, you wouldn't expect a guy 5'9", 5'10"-ish to be covering guys like Calvin Johnson, to be covering guys taller than him and shutting him down or playing very well. Brent Grimes played phenomenal last year. Played against number 1 wide receivers. He's able to tackle, cover in man or zone. He's smart, and he's still going to be on the Dolphins next year, which I kind of don't like because I'm a Patriots fan. But he's a good player, deserves to be on this list. Number 72, one of the better corners in the league. Number 71, Emmanuel Sanders. he had a nice year last year. Manuel Sanders definitely proved that he's one of the better receivers, talented wise, and statistics. Statistics were off the charts, as well as his ability, man. I didn't think he was that athletic, that quick, that shifty, in and out of breaks. Route running was great. Um, his route running was great last year. His quickness, nobody seemed to be able to cover him really, and he was open a lot for Peyton last year. Number 70, Sean Smith, Kansas City Chiefs top cornerback who goes against the opponent's top wide receivers. Sean Smith is a 6'3" cornerback who is big, strong, presses at the line, can play great man against number one wide receivers, and that's what you need. Sean Smith is a prototype that a lot of teams want. Number 69, I have Nick Mangold. The best center in the NFL currently, I would say, is Nick Mangold for the New York Jets. It's funny how New York Jets have all these good players, but they aren't really able to seem to put it together. Nick Mangold's been a consistent cog in their team for a long time. He's a great player, a great center, and a good leader on that offense. Number 68, I have Deshaun Jackson. So it is true, I have a wide receiver from the Washington Redskins on this list, Deshaun Jackson, and he proved again that he is Action Jackson. Deshaun is fast, probably the fastest wide receiver in the league. He is quick in his route running. He is a deep threat like no other. He's a beast. Like for a guy to be 5'10", like 5'9", 5'10", be that fast and be that great of a deep threat. It's hard to be a deep threat in the NFL today when you're not tall. And Deshaun Jackson really, he does it in different ways. And he can catch the ball for 2 yards and take it 99, so, or take it 50 or take it 60 or whatever you want. So Deshaun Jackson is a beast and deserves to be on this list, love him or hate him. Number 67 is Connor Barwin. Surprise player, actually broke out last year, had a bunch of sacks, led the Eagles in sacks last year, and was a huge part of their pass rush. He was also good in the run game, and he was a converted. Did he play DN last year? He played outside line. I think he played outside linebacker in a 3-4. I'm not sure if he played DN at Houston, but once he got to Philly, it really seemed like it just ticked for him, and it worked. And Chip Kelly found a piece that he can use for years to come in the pass rush. Connor Barwin was a beast last year. Number 66, I have my boy Jamie Collins. Jamie Collins was a huge part of New England's defense's success last year in their run to the Super Bowl. Jamie Collins can do everything. When I say everything, the dude can play safety, he can play DN, he can play linebacker, he could play wide receiver. No, I'm just kidding. He could probably play tight end. He's fast. He's one of the fastest linebackers in the league. He is able to play coverage against running backs or tight ends. He can tackle. He can blitz. He can pass rush. He is smart. And he'll tell you that himself because he is confident in himself. Jamie Collins definitely played excellent last year, and he's going to be one of the better linebackers in the league going forward. Number 65 is Calais Campbell. This guy has never been getting a lot of attention. He finally got a little bit of attention last year. He made a Pro Bowl, and he was a huge part of the Cardinals' success on defense. He is an excellent run stopper. He is big. He's 6'8". He's in the 3-4 D end position, but he also made up for the loss of Darnell Dockett, and he's been a starter there for a long time and so overlooked. He is huge. He tips down a lot of passes, gets after the quarterback, he stops the run. He's a great player for the Cardinals. Number 64, I have tight end Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen is the third ranked tight end on this list, and he was really good for the Panthers. Their best offensive weapon last year, arguable with Calvin Benjamin, but overall as a tight end, he ranks higher because he's more dominant in his position. He's a good blocker. He's not the greatest blocker, but he's also a very good pass catcher. He's a good route runner. He's not the biggest, like he's not a Gronk, but he is a shifty tight end who's faster than he looks, and always seems to have good statistics, catch the ball, safe target, and he's just a good player. Number 63, Tyron Smith for the Dallas Cowboys. The left tackle there, you got to put the left tackle in the best offensive line on this list. I don't care. Um, Tyron Smith was huge for the Cowboys, protecting Tony Romo on his hurt back. This guy never got beat last year, period. Number 62, Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham might be a little low for some people, but I have a few opinions why. Dropped off last year in statistics. Had a few games where he didn't catch a pass. Had some few dominant games, reason why he's still on the list. Talented as hell. He's fast. He's big. He's strong. He can catch. But then there's a negative of he's a pussy. He can't block, and he basically plays wide receiver. So to be a complete tight end, you have to be able to block. You have to be able to catch, route run, big target. You have to be able to stretch the field, catch short passes, break tackles. Jimmy Graham does half of that well, which is what is holding him back to being a phenomenal, great tight end. Number 61, I have Chris Harris, who's an extremely underrated corner for the Denver Broncos, and he, in my opinion, is better than Aqib Talib. A lot better. He's great in press, man coverage, but also good in zone. He can take away the number one wide receiver. He is a shorter guy. He's only about like 5'10", but he's smart and he is fast. Chris Harris is one of the better corners in the league who doesn't get enough recognition. Number 60, I have Julian Edelman, my boy Julian Edelman. One GM actually said about him this year that he is the most uncoverable player in the NFL, which is interesting. Because if you think about it, there's never been a game where Julian Edelman has ever been shut down. I don't think there's ever been a game where Julian Edelman has not caught more than 5 passes because he is just that good at getting open for Tom Brady, catching the ball, breaking tackles, speed, quickness. He is one of the quickest players in the league. He's one of the best route runners in the league. He has great hands. He's one of the toughest players in the league. And he gets extremely overlooked when it comes to wide receiver rankings. Julian Edelman is that guy. Number 59 is Glover Quinn. Glover Quinn actually led the league, I believe, in interceptions. He played for the Detroit Lions, free safety, played for the Houston Texans before that, and on the lines, he really proved what he could be. A great coverage safety, and definitely deserves to be on this list as well. Number 58 is Andrew Whitworth, who's actually been having rumors that they might be getting rid of him. Whitworth has been a very good tackle for the Bengals for a long time, and I'll be surprised if the Bengals replace him in the near future because he's been playing very well. The Bengals don't really have a reason to blame the offensive line. Andy Dalton has not been good, and Whitworth has been solid, and he's one of the better pass and run blockers in the league. Look at what Jeremy Hill did this year, okay? So Whitworth is number 58. Number 57, I have Evan Mathis, left guard for the Philadelphia Eagles. My Patriots were actually thinking about trading for him, apparently. But he's a solid guard, and I'm sure that DeMarco Murray will like to be running with him blocking. So I'm pretty sure they're going to keep him just because of all the running backs that they gathered this year. Number 56 is LaShawn McCoy, his former running back, now in Buffalo, which is so odd. I thought McCoy was going to be in Philly for life. He had a bit of a down year last year, but he's still electrifying when he runs. He's got great agility. He can catch the ball and run the ball in between and outside of the tackles. And he's a great player to watch. Number 56 is LaShawn McCoy. Number 55, DeAndre Levy. Another player that many people might not know. He gathers a lot of tackles. So if you look at the tackle statistics, he also got hurt during the year, which doesn't help. But he's one of the better cover linebackers in the league in terms of zone coverage. He can pick passes off. He's smart. He's not a great pass rusher because he also plays 4-3 outside linebacker, which I mentioned earlier. He's not a primary position for pass rushers, but He is more of an inside backer that's good in coverage, good tackler, smart player. Number 54 is Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy had an excellent year actually last year. The first game or two, he was slow to get off his feet, but Eddie Lacy proved that his power game and running style was there to stay. He also had games receiving that were excellent that I really didn't think he had in him. So Eddie Lacy is a young back that's going to continue to improve and playing in a great offense. Eddie Lacy is going to put up statistics for your fantasy team. Number 53 is Eric Weddle, one of the more underrated defensive players in the league. Chargers captain, really. Eric Weddle is a guy that I extremely respect. When I watch football, Weddle reminds me of an old school football player, and he's just out there doing everything he can for a team. He's great in coverage, good at covering tight ends. He's only 5'9", but he gets in the box and he can tackle like a linebacker. He's not the fastest, but he's great in zone, and he's good at covering tight ends, as I said. Eric Weddle is extremely underrated and a great player. Number 52 is Bobby Wagner, the middle linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks. You obviously saw the switch in the defense, the on-off switch for the Seattle Seahawks defense when Bobby Wagner came back for them. And he is a beast. He's smart. He's actually Canadian. He's smart, fast, especially fast, good in zone coverage because they play a lot of cover threes, good in the middle of the field. As you saw, that one interception he had on Brady in the Super Bowl was very nice. And he's a great leader on that defense as well. He's a quiet guy, which kind of is different from the rest of the Seahawks players. But I respect him as a player, a tackler, and a cover linebacker, inside linebacker. So Bobby Wagner's 52. Number 51, I have T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. or whatever he does. But T.Y. Definitely a good wide receiver, even though he has shown in some games that he can be shut down, which is maybe a reason why he's been held back in terms of the better wide receivers in the league. But he is electrifying, deep ball machine like Deshaun Jackson. Short but fast, quick, can get the deep ball, catches the ball often, can break long plays. T.Y. Hilton has shown promise for Andrew Luck and his number one wide receiver. Reggie Wayne was not himself last year, and T.Y. really picked up the slack. Number 50, I have Jamal Charles, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's maybe a little low, but he didn't have his greatest statistic season last year, and still played great when he did. He didn't have his greatest statistical season because he was hurt for some of the season, but also didn't have his greatest season as he usually does. But still an excellent running back, versatile, as I mentioned about most running backs. He's one of the better guys in terms of catching the ball out of the backfield. He can also break runs for long gains, as we've seen, and he's good all around. So Jamal Charles is number 50 on this list. Number 49, we have Brandon Marshall. Marshall's been a beast for a long time. Guy consistently catches a lot of passes for many different quarterbacks, especially Jay Cutler. And now he's on the Jets with Geno Smith. Kind of feel bad for him because he's never played with a phenomenal quarterback where he's able to really showcase his skills. But Brandon Marshall is all around an excellent receiver. He can catch the ball inside, outside, over the top of defenders. He's hard to cover because he's so big. He's hard to press because he can get off the press very well. And he has lost a little bit of speed, but he's still an excellent wide receiver and a tough cover. So Brandon Marshall is still a top tier wide receiver in the NFL. Number 48, we have Drew Brees. Drew Brees, man, he dropped off a bit this year. You know, the Saints didn't play that well. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs. His team around him wasn't that great. And Drew Brees, the thing about Drew Brees is when things aren't going well, he seems to be throwing too many interceptions and fumbling the ball. And that's what happened this year. That's why he's not that high up on the list. But Drew Brees is still a very smart, great quarterback with a great arm, great accuracy. And he's still going to be good for a few more years. Number 47 is Robert Quinn, a beast on the pass rush, good against the run. Robert Quinn from the Rams is the best defensive player they have and one of the best in the league. Last year he played amazing, and sorry, I have my nose. But Robert Quinn was great last year and great this year, and I think he's just going to continue to improve because he's so young and he's going to continue to get better. Number 46 is Russell Wilson. This is a controversial one. You might think he belongs too high or too low on this list, depending on how you look at Russell Wilson. But I look at him as a game changer. I look at Russell Wilson as a very smart quarterback who maybe doesn't have the weapons around him to really shine like a lot of other quarterbacks, but he's not at that next level yet where he's a top 5, top 3 quarterback. Russell Wilson's a very good quarterback. I don't think he's top 5 yet. He's amazing with his legs. He can get out of any situation with his legs and throw the ball down the field. He has a great arm. He's smart most of the time, but sometimes he misses reads. He tries to do too much and throws interceptions, or tries to do too much and gets sacked, or his receivers aren't getting open and he just tries to do too much. That's the thing about Russell Wilson. I think he's a really good player, a really good system player with the Seahawks, and he's going to continue to get better. And he's still young in his career, already has a Super Bowl win. Number 45 is Dontari Poe for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is a monster inside. Guy is a great pass rusher at the D tackle position, and also a big run stuffer. And this is a guy that a lot of teams want, a guy that can, from the interior, rush the passer, but also stuff the run. And Dontari Poe is the prime example of that. Number 44 is Cameron Wake. Cameron Wake, ever since the CFL days, I don't think has been getting enough respect for how great of a player he is and how great of a pass rusher he is. Definitely is one of the best in the league in terms of pass rushing, and he's shown consistency in that department. He's also good against the run. He doesn't get enough credit for that. He plays mostly every down. Cameron Wake is a beast. Number 43 is Odell Beckham Jr. Had a great year last year. He was making dudes miss, just burning corners with his quickness and his route running. He's also faster than I expected, and he's going to continue to improve. He's only only a rookie last year, so Odell Beckham's 43. Number 42, I have Tony Romo. Tony Romo played great last year. Yes, Cowboys haters, Tony Romo played great. And I've loved Tony Romo throughout his career. I've always defended Tony Romo. It was never his fault for most of the time. He needs a run game. He needs receivers that can catch and get after the catch. He needs an offensive line. That is the number one thing that he hasn't had until this past year is an offensive line. When he was playing great in the mid-2000s, he had an offensive line. Tony Romo played great in clutch situations last year. It's not the reason why they lost to Green Bay. There are other reasons. He's not the reason. Tony Romo played great last year, and he fought through the pain. Number 41 is Arian Foster. Arian Foster is a sneaky, still really great running back who had an excellent year last year and one of the best at running in zone schemes, and also great at catching the ball. He was basically the Texans' offense. Him and Hopkins, basically the Texans' offense last year. Number 40 is Josh Sitton, or I think it's Sitton, for the Green Bay Packers. He plays guard, and he's an excellent guard, one of the better ones in the league. And obviously, you could tell by watching the Packers' offensive line play last year. Rodgers would rarely even get touched in games, and Lacey was getting gashes of holes against good defenses. So Sitton is definitely a huge part of that. Number 39 is AJ Green, who if he played healthy for most of the season would be a lot higher. The skill alone, AJ Green is a beast. You've seen him. He can go deep, control games. He can dominate games and beat teams by himself and beat them with an average quarterback throwing him the ball. So AJ Green is 39. 38 is Peyton Manning. Yes, I said it right. 38 is Peyton Manning. Okay, Peyton Manning had a very good regular season. Very good regular season. Kind of had some bad games, teetered off late in the year. Early in the year, it looked like Denver Broncos shoe in to win the Super Bowl. Didn't happen. Broncos, as we've seen Peyton diminish in the playoffs. Peyton was hurt, so I give him a little bit of slack, but Peyton played horrendous late in the year. He was horrible. He could not throw the ball 20 yards down the field. Teams just figured out that he can't throw the ball down the field. You have to make him throw the ball down the field, take away the early reads, take away the short gains, and just make him throw down the field. And Peyton couldn't do it. He's still smart, still got great accuracy, but his throw power is diminished a ton. I'm interested to see how he does next year and how the Broncos do with him at quarterback. But I know he's one of the greatest of all time and will leave a legacy on the game that's unmatched. Number 37, Lavonte David. Lavonte David is one of the best 4-3 outside linebackers in the league. All around great player. What can you say? He's great great tackler, great coverage player, great in run support, great in pass coverage. So he is a good overall linebacker and the best player the best player. Yeah, no. How can I say this? He is one of the best 4-3 outside linebackers, and he is young, and he's on a team that sucks. So he has to make up for a lot of deficiencies in that defense. Number 36 is Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden is still a top tier corner and will continue to be a top tier corner. When I watch Joe Hayden, I love to see him go to work on his press coverage, his man coverage, plays against number one wide receivers weekly, and does a great job. So that's why Joe Hayden is number 36. Number 35, I have another Patriot, my boy Devin McCourty. Got signed to a big contract this year. In my opinion, he is the second? He's the second best free safety in the NFL. Devin is excellent in coverage. He has amazing range. Where he was he played primarily cover one. The Patriots played primary cover one with McCourty being the deep man, and McCourty was responsible for mostly Browner and the other side of the field, opposite of Revis. And now McCourty is going to be responsible for more of a two deep shell and other zone coverage responsibilities. But McCourty is excellent. He's a good captain. First of all, he's a good tackler as well. That's underrated in this game, but he's an amazing cover safety. Number 34 is Elvis Dumervil. Elvis Dumervil had a bundle of sacks. Look up the sack leaders, and he's right up there. But why he's not higher is that he was only a primary pass rusher. So he's only a situational pass rusher. He only came in on pass rushing situations, really. He didn't play as much as other players. So I have Elvis Dumervil at 34. Number 33, I have Big Ben Roethlisberger, who played outstanding, I thought, last year. And he was ripping teams apart for 5-6 touchdowns, weekly. And Big Ben really showed that he can carry a team offensively. Number 32, Joe Staley. Joe Staley is one of the best left tackles in the game. Still plays for the 49ers. And their offensive line was a little weak last year, but it was not because of Joe, and it was not the left side. Kaepernick, he's trying to protect a guy in Kaepernick who's horrible at decision making. I just can't understand sometimes what Colin Kaepernick is doing. But Joe Staley is definitely a great left tackle, and he's good in every facet of the game. Number 31, I have Jarrell McCoy, who I actually almost forgot to put on this list. That's how forgettable the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are that I almost forgot their best player. Jarrell McCoy is still a freaking monster, okay? He is great at pass rushing for a D tackle. He is very good against a run. Actually, Tampa Bay last year, the year before that, they were number one against the run, and they were still horrible, but that was mostly to do with Jarrell McCoy. Jerome McCoy is going to continue to be one of the best D tackles in the league. Number 30, I have Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson, wide receiver for the Packers, had a great year. Had another great year with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. And Jordy is just a sneakily good receiver. You wouldn't expect a 6'3" white guy to have that speed, to burn quarters down the field, catch the ball, to be able to that good. Like, honestly, Jordy Nelson is a great wide receiver, and he's a quiet guy that doesn't get a lot of attention. Number 29, I have Mario Williams. Is there a scarier player in the NFL than Mario Williams? The guy wears red contacts. He looks like the devil himself when he's coming after quarterbacks. I don't know how Tom Brady deals with it, but Mario Williams is a freaking monster. Just look at the man. And he comes after the quarterback like crazy. Mario Williams takes over games for his defense. And that's what he did last year, and that's what he's going to continue to do for the Bills. Number 28, I have another scary looking man, Terrell Suggs. He might be ugly, but he is a good football player, and he is a beast. Great pass rusher, amazing in run support, freaking smart as hell. Watch his highlight tape. You'll see plays that are definitely not designed for him to do. He comes across the field, makes tackles. He reads plays like no other linebacker in the league. Especially at the 3-4 outside linebacker position. At number 27, I have Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews, he actually played this is where I have him ahead of guys like Terrell Suggs. Is he played like 3 different positions last year, Clay Matthews was versatile. He played middle linebacker for most of the year, where he hugely impacted the game for the Packers. He played outside linebacker for the Packers. Clay Matthews is a beast, and he is a great player in every facet. He's a great pass rusher. He's strong. He's fast. He's good in run support, and he's also very good in coverage, as he showed at the middle linebacker position. And he's smart. Number 26, maybe a shocker to some people, Calvin Johnson. He rated as high as, I believe, in the top 5 last year for my list. But Calvin really dropped off because he got hurt. And the injuries hurt his production. That is why he's only 26. But Calvin Johnson, still a beast. Still could be the best receiver in the league. We'll see what he does without the injuries next year. I'm sure he'll still produce very well for the Lions. Megatron, what do I gotta say? Number 25, I have Marcel Darius. Marcel Darius is another probably underrated nose tackle, D tackle that you really don't hear about because he plays on the Bills. But he's another guy from the D tackle position that's able to impact the game in multiple ways. It's hard as a D tackle to get 10 sacks. It's hard to pass rush as a D tackle, and he's excellent at that. And then he's excellent at stopping the run. And Marcel Darius is strong. He's a beast. He's fast. So the Bills were one of the best defenses in the league. Obviously, when you guys got like Mario Williams, Marcel Darius, you're going to be good. Number 24, I have a wide receiver I thought was the best offensive player on the Broncos last year, Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas consistently the best player on the Broncos last year. And guy, fast, strong. He's about 6'3", one of the faster receivers in the league. Can get off press, hard to cover, hard to shut down. Has games where he dominates opponents, and he's been consistent over his career so far, especially with Peyton. He has great chemistry with Peyton, and he's going to continue to improve and be one of the more dominant receivers in the league. Number 23 is Vontae Davis. Vontae Davis is extremely underrated as a corner. He is probably one of the best corners in the league. In my opinion, the third best corner in the league. And he is phenomenal at shutting down wide receivers in man coverage. Press coverage is one of the best in the league. And he is just so good for the Colts. He's the best player on their defense. And he is going to continue to be one of the best corners in the league, shutting down number 1 wide receivers. 22, I have Von Miller, who I love to watch Von Miller play. He's fast, strong, good against a run. He can make plays. He's so athletic, and then he's able to rush the passer. He's a smart player, and I hate watching him play against Patriots because he scares me when he's pass rushing. Number 21 is Marshall Yonda. Yonda is the best guard in the league, in my opinion, and great at run blocking and pass blocking. All around great offensive guard for the Baltimore Ravens. Number 20, I have probably the best all-around running back when it comes to catching the ball, running the ball between the tackles outside, catching the ball especially. He caught so many passes last year. Matt Forte for the Chicago Bears, even with a bad team, Matt Forte produced an excellent year and had an excellent season catching the ball in the backfield and running the ball. And he's such a great weapon for a team, and definitely for Chicago Bears. Matt Forte, number 20. Number 19, I have the best tackle in the league. That's Joe Thomas, in my opinion, for the Cleveland Browns. He is still the best tackle in the league, in my opinion. I believe he was number 1 last year on my list, and he didn't do anything wrong. You know, the Browns they had a better year last year with Brian Hoyer, but blocking for Brian Hoyer and Johnny Manziel, you know, it's probably a tough job because they're not the greatest quarterbacks in the world, but he's great. And even with those rookie running backs, he was a great run blocker. He's all around great player. Number 18, Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is on my list one of the top 3 running backs in the NFL. Mostly has to do with his power running. The way that he is a leader without saying anything, you know. Marshawn Lynch is that player in the NFL that when he makes a play, his team gets so pumped up they do anything. And once Marshawn Lynch gets that play, it's almost impossible for any other team to beat the Seattle Seahawks. Marshawn Lynch is a beast mode, and yeah, we don't want to talk about the 1 yard line. Because he probably would have got it being a Patriots fan. I don't want to admit it, but he probably would have got that yard. Even though last year they weren't that good at converting from 1 yard out, which is an odd stat considering how powerful, fast, strong Marshawn Lynch is. Number 17, Antonio Brown. This guy, man. This guy was a human highlight reel last year in terms of catching the ball. Catching the ball after the catch, the best in the league. Best in the league after the catch. Catch the ball, deke the dude out, run for 60 yards for a touchdown. Antonio Brown is amazingly agile, fast, great route runner, and he's never shut down. He's always open. Antonio Brown's number 17. Number 16, barely edging him out, is Julio Jones. Julio Jones had a phenomenal year as well. The reason why I have Julio Jones a bit higher than Antonio is that I prefer to have the guy that can go down the field a little bit more, because Antonio Brown is a good deep threat, but he's not as good as Julio Jones, who I believe right now is the best deep threat in the NFL. Just look at that game he played against Green Bay. God. And then he didn't play as many games as Antonio Brown. He's the only offensive weapon, really, that Matt Ryan even used last year. Roddy White has not been the same. And he's been spectacular throughout his career. He's fast, big, strong off the press, good route runner, not the best, but he can go down the field, catch the ball for touchdowns. Number 15 is Cam Chancellor. Cam, but not Newton. Cam Chancellor is the real Cam because he is a monster. You watch this guy, just look at how athletic he was when he jumped over the line on special teams for the Panthers and blocked a kick. It was a penalty, but he blocked the kick. Cam Chancellor, great safety. He is one of the most feared players in the league in terms of heavy hitting. He's a great box safety, also very good in coverage. He has great instincts, and he can jump routes and take it for 6. So Cam Chancellor is number 15. Number 14 is Luke Kuechly. In my opinion, the best linebacker, the best inside linebacker in the game. Luke Kuechly deserves to be number 14. He's really smart, aware, great tackler, leader of a defense. He's he's one of the most active linebackers in terms of pre-play adjustments that I see in the NFL, and he's really smart and really good, really fast and athletic. Luke Kuechly is number 14. Number 13 is, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the NFL, Dez Bryant. Throw up the X. Dez Bryant is the best wide receiver in the league and the most unstoppable wide receiver in the league, in my opinion. He is strong, fast, great route runner, strong. He's able to go deep, catch the ball. He's able to break tackles. He can do it all. And Dez Bryant is an amazing red zone threat for Tony Romo and just a spectacular wide receiver. Number 12, I have Le'Veon Bell, who ranks as the second best running back in the NFL. Le'Veon Bell may be the best. He has had suspension issues and issues with marijuana, stuff like that, but doesn't take away from his play. He's a great back who's great at breaking tackles, catching the ball in the backfield, running in between and outside the tackles. He had an amazing season last year. He's faster than I thought. He's strong, and he definitely deserves to be in the top 12. Number 11 is the third best quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion, and that is Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck literally carries the Colts to the AFC Championship and to the playoffs since he has been around. Luck has carried the Colts. And yes, he does maybe throw too many interceptions, but that is just the way he plays. He's a risk taker, and he is clutch, and he's amazingly hard to tackle. You know, he's a guy that when you try to tackle him, he's still throwing the ball down the field for 50 yards. That's how strong his arm is. He's accurate, but sometimes he makes that little mistake. That's why he's not in the top 2 quarterbacks. Number 10 is Ndamukong Suh. Ndamukong Suh is the best defensive tackle in the NFL, in my opinion. He moved to the Dolphins now. If you watched this guy last year, you know how much of an impact he is on a defense and on a team. He is great against the run and amazing pass rusher for a defensive lineman. He is ferocious, a tough, hard-nosed, old-school player that any team would love to have. Ndamukong Suh is number 10. Number 9 is Justin Houston, the best outside linebacker and pass rusher in the game right now. Dude, what was it, like 20-something sacks? But Justin Houston, freaking freak. At pass rushing. He could get better in coverage, but he's not really assigned to that role. He's mostly a pass rusher and great against the run as well. He's huge, he's fast, and he's athletic. Number 8, I have DeMarco Murray, who ranks as the best running back in the NFL. He also ran behind the best offensive line. DeMarco Murray at one point was having one of the best running back seasons I've ever seen. He was consistently churning yards. He was getting carries, like 25 plus carries a game. He was the reason why the Cowboys offense was playing spectacular. And he was just making plays that, even with that offensive line, he's making plays that no other running back could have made in that season. Number 7 is Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas is the best safety in the league, in my opinion. And definitely because of his range, his smarts, his ball skills, his ferociousness in the run game, all around great player, and amazing ball skills. You know, he's so smart, can read a quarterback's eyes and pick the ball off, and he's a huge reason of why the Legion of Doom is called the Legion of Doom, or Legion of Boom. Sorry. Number 6 is Richard Sherman. It's been so long that I'm starting to lose my words right now. This is a really long video. Sorry, guys. But Richard Sherman, dude, this guy, I hate him personally. I hate him as a person because he's a dick. But as a player, he's the best zone cover corner in the league. He's great at press. He is cocky, but deservedly so. He has amazing ball skills. He's great at picking the ball off. He's basically a receiver playing back there. He's 6'3" or something. Shuts down receivers. He's excellent and plays on amazing defense. Number 5, I have Darrelle Revis, who is now going to be playing for the New York Jets, but he played for my New England Patriots last year and was the best corner in the league. Played man-to-man, which is the difference between him and Richard Sherman. Played primarily man-to-man against the best receivers in the league. Sherman did not always do that. Revis shut down everybody. Everybody. And he did get burned a couple times, but who doesn't in man-to-man situations, But Revis was amazing, and he's amazing at everything. He's an aware corner. He's physical. He's great against the run. He is amazing in coverage, man, end zone. He's aware. He has great ball skills. The only thing is he might be losing a little bit of speed. That's about it. Number 4 is the Gronk, the best tight end in the league. In my opinion, the best offensive weapon in the NFL. He is uncoverable. No single player in the NFL can cover him. You might have to have 3 players to cover him. That is one of the reasons why the Patriots won the Super Bowl this year. The guy was uncoverable, and he was at some points untackleable, if that's even a word. He couldn't be tackled at some points. And Rob Gronkowski is an absolute animal who's going to continue to produce for my Patriots in the upcoming years. Number 3 is Tom Brady. Tom Terrific won his 4th Super Bowl this year. I think that's enough to say that he's in the top 5. I believe I rated him number 2 last year on my 2014 list. And this year he had a better statistical season. He was clutch. His Super Bowl and playoff performances were unreal. He was the best quarterback in the playoffs by a mile. He set a ridiculous amount of records in the playoffs. He had a great season in the regular season, and Tom Brady showed why he's Tom Terrific. Number 2, I have the reigning MVP, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron played amazing in the regular season, even in the playoffs, minus that Seahawks performance where he played good but not great. He didn't play up to what he should have played. He was hurt. But Rodgers played amazing during the regular season and was nearly unstoppable at home. So I got to say that Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league right now. Number 1, I have J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt played both sides of the ball. He played defense and he played tight end. He scored multiple touchdowns. He got 20 sacks. He's the only player, I believe, in history to have 2 20-sack seasons in a row. And he's a beast against the run, beast against the pass. They almost made the playoffs, the Texans. Didn't expect that. And J.J. Watt was a huge reason why. He tips balls down, picks the ball off, runs for touchdowns, sacks, fumble recoveries, catches the ball like a tight end. Guy is amazing, and he's the best football player in the NFL right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this top 100 NFL players of 2015. Please like the video. Subscribe if you want more NFL stuff. And let me know your comments, what you think of the list, where you think some players should be ranked. A lot of players, as you guys know, are not allowed to be ranked on this list because they rather were suspended, hurt, did not play last year. Adrian Peterson included, So going forward, though, the rankings would be a little different if you included players going into the season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, please subscribe to the Bottom Line View for the best sports and wrestling talk on YouTube. Peace out.